After pensioners and children, defending our schools and hospitals, all that can only be done if we can get more Plaid Cymru MPs to defend our interests.
Yeah, Ian Wyn-Jones, let's talk to Betsan Powys, our Wales political editor in Cardiff. Betsan, you were telling us recently that really lots was depending on what happened to that Labour vote in Wales. What can you tell us tonight?
Yes, absolutely. That's the key question, I think. The campaign here hasn't been that distinctive. I think it has been subsumed into that wider picture painted by the prime ministerial debates. But some key Welsh questions to be answered tomorrow, yes, certainly. Does the surge in support for the Lib Dems buy them a couple of high-profile urban seats, but along the way, in one or two Labour seats, open the door to Plaid Cymru? That resurgence we've seen in Tory support since devolution, does it turn into the kinds of numbers of gains they've been talking about? Most crucial of all, the Welsh Labour vote. It's been on the skids in Wales. Is this the election where it finally hardens, or does it continue to crumble? And if it does, do they lose a raft of seats? Do they lose that grasp they've held over Welsh politics for a very, very long time?
Betsan, thank you very much. Betsan Powys there, our Wales political editor. Well, this is the first general election since the SNP came to power in Edinburgh and Plaid Cymru formed a governing alliance with Labour in Wales. But the impact of devolved power has raised new questions in England about the representation of Scotland and Wales at Westminster. In the fourth of his special reports, Alan Little has been to Southampton to explore the view that the influence of Scottish and Welsh MPs should be curbed.
Keep them hands up, come on! Who are you going to hit down now? Who are you going to hit down there? You got a little brother?
Of the four nations of the United Kingdom, England is the undisputed heavyweight. 85% of the UK population live in England. It punches well above the weight of all the other three put together. England, it said, cares about fair play.
Every time I look round, you're not looking. Concentrate, come on.
And slowly, a sense that all is not fair is taking hold. Wales, for example, has abolished prescription charges. Scotland is phasing them out. So why are the English still expected to pay?
It should be the same across the board. Right, from, why should the Scottish get things that we don't, and basically why should we get things that they don't? And why should the Welsh and Scottish politicians be allowed to vote on things that affect me?
That's Mum and Dad's wedding photograph.
In Scotland, the state pays for long-term care for the elderly, but not here in Southampton. To pay for her mother's nursing home, Alicia Wilkins had to sell the house that had been the family home for half a century.
Awful, to be honest. It was clearing it out. All the memories were there, and we had to clear it out and then put the for sale sign up. Mum and Dad had worked all their lives, and they paid all their taxes and national insurance and everything. I feel that the whole of the UK should be treated the same. If Scotland can do it, or what other part of the country can do it, why can't we do it?
But the whole point of devolution is that each nation should be free to pursue its own priorities. England is now the odd exception to this rule. It is still governed by the British House of Commons, with Scots, Welsh and Northern Irish MPs retaining their say on English affairs.
In the 80s and 90s, people in Scotland and Wales began to talk of something called the democratic deficit, because time after time they voted Labour and time after time they got Conservative government. Devolution was meant to be the answer to that. But now there's an emerging perception in England that there's a new kind of democratic deficit, and that this time it's England that is shortchanged.
OK, so this is our election special.
This election has captivated the young. Their vote could be decisive in marginal constituencies.
So the poll results, 93% of Southampton students will vote in the...
At the Southampton Student newspaper, they know that the Scottish Parliament abolished tuition fees in Scotland, but that Scottish Labour MPs at Westminster voted for tuition fees in England.
We feel it's unfair that the Scottish MPs are allowed to vote on the issue, but we're not allowed to vote on their issue. And they're contradicting each other in what they do vote for in England and Scotland. So we are infuriated by this.
So should Scottish, Welsh and Northern Irish MPs be allowed to vote at all on matters that only affect England? Alex Kelso is a Scottish academic living and working in England. Create a two-tiered House of Commons, she says, and you threaten the British Union.
The whole basis of the Union is that every member in the House of Commons is equal. They are there as equal representatives from different parts of the United Kingdom, and it's in this body that we know as the House of Commons that you find the political existence of a union at all. That's where it lives, that's where it breathes. And as soon as you start to disentangle equal representation, as soon as that is undermined, and some MPs count for more depending on what is up for discussion, you start to eat into this idea of union.
England may once have thought that devolution was largely a matter for others. But 10 years on, it seems that the entire United Kingdom is changed by it. And England too. Alan Little, BBC News, Southampton.
So the polls will open at 7 o'clock.